Hi everyone, and welcome to M1 Yarns and the Michigan Makers Podcast. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jamie. I'm the yarn dyer behind m1yarns.com, based in Metro Detroit, Michigan. And this is a mostly knitting and fiber related podcast. So I'm going to make this episode pretty quick because tomorrow I am leaving for Rhinebeck, New York for the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. So this episode I plan on releasing on Saturday, the first day of the New York Sheep and Wool Festival itself, although there's some fringe events on Friday, the day before, that I'll be attending with some friends. So I have a lot to get done before my flight tomorrow morning. So this has got to be short and sweet, which hopefully works for you too. So grab a beverage and I hope you have your knitting and let's chat. Okay. Speaking of Rhinebeck, while I am away on that trip, I'm going to run a fun little sale on mostly everything in my shop. And I say mostly because pretty much the only thing that it does exclude rather, is merch. So this is stuff with like my logo or various graphics printed on mugs and tees and sweatshirts and stuff. That drop ships directly from my printer. So that stuff I can't really put on sale, but everything else, fiber for spinning, wool wash, skeins, kits, notions, all 20% off if you use code FALLFUN20. And thank you very much in advance. And you're welcome very much in advance. Let's see what else. Okay, so if you have watched previous episodes over the last few months, you know that I have been knitting 3 sweaters to take on this trip to Rhinebeck. And the 3 sweaters are the Alpine Bloom, which turned out great. It was the first time I knit with my own hand spun yarn. It turned out beautifully. Very happy with it. The second sweater I finished knitting was the Cowgirl Crop, and I don't think I have podcast since I finished that sweater, so I'll insert a photo of that here. That turned out great too. That was my second time knitting that fun pattern, and I have a whole look for it. Boots, hat, the whole kit and caboodle. And the third sweater that I was planning on knitting for this 3-day event was the Varma cardigan. I had started the sleeves back in like March or even February because I really wanted to knit this cardigan last year. It's bulky, but it's big and it's very complicated. And last night I stayed up till 4 a.m. to finish knitting it. It's bottom up. So I had knit the sleeves, and then I had knit the body, and then I attached the sleeves here, and then continued on. Well, because it was bottom up, it was hard to try on because you never really know how deep your yoke is going to be. I'm petite, and that's why I prefer top down. But this pattern was so beautiful, I was like, it'll work out just fine. I'm going to trust that I got gauge, and I cast on the appropriate size for my bust. However, this is where we grab the Kleenex box. After I steeked yesterday, which this was not my first time steeking. Oh, let me back up. Before I steek, so I'm going to show you, this is the yoke. Okay, so here we got the sleeve and the yoke. When I got to like right here, this like first row of this wine colored yarn was supposed to be white. That was problem number 1. I ran out of the white yarn. This is not a base I typically carry in my shop. So that was problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that I subsequently ran out of the this wine color not that far into my faux button band. So you can see that my button band is kind of hodgepodgey. And I was like, oh, well, we'll consider it artistic. And sorry, the lighting is really weird in here. It's like approaching sunset. So I played a lot of Yarn Chicken and lost on 2 colors. And then, yeah, I think it was either 2 or 3 colors. I ran out of the beige. And then when I steeked it, I've steeked before, but the way this designer designed the column where you cut, typically it's like 5 to 7 stitches, which gives you a pretty big window to run your scissors up and still have, let's say, 3 stitches on either side of your cut. So if this is your cut, you've got 3 here and you got 3 here. So she only designed it with 2 stitches for the steek column, which is really tight because by the time you put that sweater on your sewing machine to make 2 zigzag stitches, which you'll cut between, and those zigzag will keep all your stitches from unraveling out towards your shoulders, there's like very little room for error. I did a narrow zigzag and thought that sorry, I keep getting text messages, so this is just going to be a really crazy episode. You just got to be here for it. I thought all my stitches got caught appropriately in the zigzag, and they didn't. 3 stitches started to unravel, so I had to do some sweater surgery. I had to get a needle and thread and kind of like run that through the stitch that was unraveling and then kind of tack it down to the sweater. It turned out fine, but for a moment I was panicking. Moving right along, then I picked up here and knit these faux button bands and lost at Yarn Chicken. So that was disappointment number like 3 in the series of this. Then at this point, I finally tried it on and it did not fit. It was tight. Now, I have gained a few pounds over the last few months, but not like that much. So right here, it's super tight. I mean, it's not like I'm... A few pounds should not matter that much. I'm getting hot and like, thinking about this. Anyway, it was tight. So at this point, at 4 a.m., there was nothing I could really do. Oh, and I didn't even have enough of this wine-colored yarn to graft the sleeve underarms. So we had to do this like cocoa yarn. So that was ugly. That was disappointment number 536. And you can tell I haven't even woven in my ends. This is the ugly inside of my cardigan. So at 4 a.m., I put it in a bucket of water to block it, put it in my spin dryer, laid it out to dry under a dehumidifier overnight, and it was dry by about lunchtime. Tried it on again, thinking, okay, I've like, you know, done this sort of thing to like stretch it out. And I can get it on, but it is not comfortable. And it's huge. Like, let's just, I mean, it just keeps going. This thing is a monster. I probably knit it a little too long. I thought I was doing okay. This sweater needs to belong to someone who's a size 2 and at least 5'7". So if you know that person, let me know so that I can gift this to them. I decided, since the forecast for Rhinebeck is going to be like in the mid-60s, and coupled that with the fact that this doesn't fit, which is the most disappointing thing ever, because this is by far the most complicated knitting I've ever done. And I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this. This was an epic fail. Anyway, I decided I'm going to take another sweater in its place to Rhinebeck. This was something I think I knit during the pandemic. Have never really like, I don't know, it's perfect. Maybe I'll insert a photo. I think I have a good photo of it. Yeah. So that's that. When I come back from Rhinebeck, I'll probably weave in the ends. And seriously, if you know of someone who is like no bigger than a size 2 and at least 5'6" or 7, let me know. Anyway, what else have I been up to? I have been up to applying some fiber that I've been spinning over the last few months, and I've talked about this before. This fiber I bought at Rhinebeck last year, and I did not like it. I did not like the color of it before I applied it with some light gray. Like, it looked muddy. I have yet to throw this in a bath. So now that it's applied, you can really start to see, and don't mind, there's some little rough spots on this. I'm still a beginner spinner, but this is one skein. I counted the yards on this. This is 169 yards. This was all out of a pound of fiber. This is 182 yards. And then I probably have a couple more skeins worth of plying left to do. Maybe I'll drop this in the bath. See if I can lay it out and insert a photo tonight. That might be promising a lot, because like I said, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. Yeah. So now that nightmare of a cardigan is done, I have a new project to cast on for my trip. Let's see here. I was at the... No, I talked about this before. I shared the yarn. But if you're new here, you didn't hear about it. So this is Finnsheep DK from Goldenbee Farms, which is my friend Emily. This is the natural gray. I was admiring this. It's pretty soft. So I bought 4 skeins of this from her, and I'm pairing it with this lace weight. You can see how light it is. This is my Yak Dream yarn base. It's a blend of Surrey alpaca, merino, yak, and silk. So I'm going to hold these two together, and I'm going to knit the, I'm probably going to butcher how you pronounce this, the Eun sweater, E-U-N. This is by November Knits. I've had this in my queue for a while. Super cute and classic with a fun little twist with the split hem feature with the ribbing. So I'm excited for that because I need a break from color work and small needles and cables, which have been my life the last couple months, and I am over it. So that will be my in-flight cast on, and hopefully that goes well. I will gauge swatch. I say that like, no, I will. I think, no, what I'll do is cast on, and I will check my gauge. We'll call it a big swatch. Anyway, as of right now, if I count my cardigan done, even though the ends aren't woven in, that finally brings me down to only one whip, which is a sock I cast on last year on my trip to Rhinebeck. I should probably take that with me to finish it. Maybe I will. It's just size 0 needles is not great for traveling. And I'm using flexi flips, and I'm a loose knitter. It's a whole drama. You guys aren't here for the drama. Anyway, oh, I'm happy to report that my tennis ball rolling has been helping my trigger thumb somewhat. We're getting there. So, thank you for all the kind messages of support. I'm going to keep doing this and hopefully avoid surgery. So, I think that's all I have for you because we're just going to make this a quick episode. So remember that I'm running a sale this weekend through Monday at midnight with code FALLFUN20. You'll get 20% off pretty much everything except merch at m1yarns.com. Anyway, if you are at Rhinebeck and you see me, come say hi. If you're not at Rhinebeck, I hope you're having a great knitty weekend, or crochet, or spinning, or whatever your fiber jam is. And let me know what you're working on in the comments below. Thanks so much. There are show notes below and links to everywhere you can find me, including my Patreon, where you can support this channel for as little as $1 a month. All right, guys, thanks and have a good one. Bye.